Good evening, everybody. My name is Brendan. This is my first lecture video for the Chem 1005 class. This one's on Case Connections Unit 2. In this quick lecture, I will go over case number 3 and case number 2. I'll start with case number 3, and then shortly after that, go on to case number 2 here a second. We'll get started, as I think this will take up most of the 10 minutes. For the very first case, we have a 5-year-old boy who was brought in the pediatrician's office for an annual visit. His mother has been noticing a few signs that are worrisome to her and that lead us to believe that he has a medical condition that we will be talking about more so in the next slide. But I just want to talk about the chart being there. Over the next few slides, we will be referencing that chart and going back and forth from the questions that we are answering back to this chart. Alright, so the very first question we got here is, what is the information likely to suggest about the underlying biochemical basis for the patient's symptoms? The patient's symptoms suggest diabetes. The 3 symptoms that mother is noticing, appearing drowsy, frequent urination, and persistent thirst are all signs that would suggest that. And then the glucose loading test kind of shows that as well. As we see here, the serum insulin levels, both for the baseline blood sample and 1 hour after the glucose loading test, are well below the controls that we are looking at. The baseline blood sample at 0.8, and then the 1 hour after glucose loading test at 5. And then I just want to go into insulin a little bit here, since that's kind of the topic for this presentation, or it is incorporated in this presentation quite a bit. Insulin is a peptide hormone. It's produced by beta cells in the pancreas. It is secreted in the bloodstream when blood glucose levels are low. Insulin's main goal, obviously, is to turn the foods that we are consuming into energy as it moves glucose into our bloodstream. And then the next question is, what would you predict the patient's fasted blood glucose levels to be given his current condition? The fasted blood glucose levels will be elevated for a 5-year-old patient. Our patient is experiencing low levels of low serum insulin levels and is not producing enough insulin, leading to glucose buildup. This will lead to fasting glucose being elevated, like I mentioned. When a patient's dealing with low insulin levels, glucose cannot go into our blood, joining our bloodstream, causing a high glucose value in the fasted state. Alright, now we got the final question here of case 3. Based on this diagnosis, what 2 regulatory enzymes are likely to be active in the individual's current condition? 2 regulatory enzymes are glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase and AMP kinase. Glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, or for short G6PD, is an enzyme that catalyzes the transfer of a hydride group from one molecule to another. A hydride ion attaches an NADPH to form an NADPH during the pentose phosphate pathway. NADPH is just an electron carrier. This forms 6-phosphoglucolactone. A deficiency to G6PD is X chromosome linked and leads to the likelihood of impaired fasting glucose and diabetes. Obviously, X chromosome linked, so we do have a 5-year-old a male patient here. And then AMP kinase adds a phosphorus group onto a sugar. AMP kinase is short, or AMPK is short for AMP kinase. It regulates lipid and glucose metabolism. That is why researchers suggest AMPK as a master switch. It is activated as a high phosphate depletion. AMPK can also lead to a decrease in glucose production, making it a popular pharmaceutical target to treat diabetes, actually. Alright, then now we're going to move on to case number 2 here. We have a 16-year-old female who was recently diagnosed with a deficiency of muscle glycogen phosphorylase. She and her family are concerned and have the following questions that we're going to go over here in a second. Alright, so this slide's going to be a little long, but we're going to explain, or I'm going to explain how muscle glycogen is used normally during exercise. I'm kind of going to break this up in three different categories. First, initiating of glycogen breakdown, then the four enzymes used to form glucose 6-phosphate, and then finally glycogen breakdown. So glycogen is obviously the way we store glucose in our bodies. This is very important due to glycogen breakdown being the main source of energy during high levels of activity or strenuous activity. In this case, directly skeletal muscles can store glycogen. That's kind of what we're looking at here. And the glycogen can be broken down into glucose 1-phosphate, then into glucose 6-phosphate, which is used throughout glycolysis to make ATP molecules. Then onto the four enzymes that are used during this process. Glucagon phosphorylase cleaves the alpha-1 4-glycolytic bond by using the enzyme and an orthophosphate, which is an HPO4 -2. This forms glucose 1-phosphate. 4 glucose 1-phosphates are needed. To continue glycogen breakdown, we use the enzyme transferase and alpha-1,6 glucosidase. The 4-alpha glucotransferase shifts glucose residues to create a more linked branch. Alpha-1,6 glucosidase releases the free glucose by cleaving the alpha-1,6 bond. Together you go from a branch polymer to a more linear straight polymer. Then the final enzyme, phosphoglucomutase, is used to transfer the phosphate group from a carbon 1, then just moving it right over to a carbon 6 to form the glucose 6-phosphate. And then that glucose 6-phosphate is then used in glycolysis to make ATP. Skeletal muscles can regulate phosphorylase. Phosphorylase exists in A and AB. That can go back and forth. AMP will act as an allosteric activator for phosphorylase B when low levels of ATP are detected. When doing strenuous activity, an individual will release epinephrine to stimulate phosphorylase kinase to go from phosphorylase B in a T state to phosphorylase A in an R state. The release of epinephrine signals the additional breakdown of glycogen into glycolysis to form ATP. Okay, another question here. I really like to take long walks. Will I be able to do this with my friends? Yes, you'll be able to take long walks with your friends. However, it is necessary to take proper care of yourself before and during your long walks. And then I listed some ways that you should take care of yourself during and after and before long walks. You should consume a diet rich in carbohydrates. This can include pasta, bread, potatoes, any kind of carbohydrates that you really like. Also to consume foods rich in sucrose, and can be your fruits and vegetables before your workouts as well, or before your long walks. Then to bring a snack such as yogurt, nuts, or another snack you enjoy consuming while walking, just to be safe. And then finally, have a safe plan in the case of a medical emergency. Make your friends aware of the health condition and what to do in case of that emergency. As a result of this deficiency, will I need to get up at night to eat to maintain my blood glucose levels? No, that will not be necessary for you to get up to eat to maintain your blood glucose levels at night. Unlike the liver, when the body is at rest, there is no need for glucose due to the body not really being in use much, obviously. The liver with the brain continue to function at a high level when sleeping, which will need energy. So it's kind of different between the liver and then the skeletal muscles from what needs energy when at rest. Alright, then the final question we got here is, do I need to worry about producing excessive lactate during intense anaerobic exercise? Yes, you'll need to worry about reducing excessive lactate during intense anaerobic exercise. Anaerobic respiration during intense exercise is needed to fulfill the body's inability to take in enough O2. The burning sensation in the muscles during exercise is due to that lactic acid buildup. A decreased exercise capacity will be noticeable in patients with a deficiency of muscle glycogen phosphorylase. Lactate formation is mandatory for muscle energy generation during exercise. Lactate production is found to be similar in healthy individuals and those with a deficiency of muscle glycogen phosphorylase actually as well. And then here are my references kind of that have guided me throughout this project. They are also in my script as well. Thank you.